Hello. Hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome. My name is Jesse Cry, and today we're going to be looking at a special variation of the French defense. No. Okay, no, seriously. What's up, Ponda? Oh, Jesse Cry. No. Get real. All right. Ponda, don't stare at the viewers like that. I think you're knocking down our viewer numbers into single digits. You're solely responsible for that, man. Guys, we're doing analysis stream and getting back to chess a little here. So yeah, I've got a game from one of our subscribers and another game I put in there that I analyzed. But let's wait for a few people to join us before we get started. It's just not been the same. Everything is going down the tube since Asterbait stopped attending our streams. I think that's really bad. Yesterday, unfortunately, was the first weekly tournament stream that I had to miss for a very long time because my daughter got us concert tickets. So we went to a really great show here in Budapest. He's Jesse. I know I think if I practice I could do a Jesse imitation. Anyway, he was the same age as me. I think we were on the same top juniors list when we were kids. Although I wasn't really a prodigy, for sure. So, yeah, don't ever room with Jesse at a tournament or something. He's one of those people that he's like ultra sensitive, and if something goes wrong, he's like bails on you because he says you're snoring, like very intolerant. Okay, anyway, Move 11, good to see you. And a few days ago we also had a subscribe by NM Camel Culture, but he's not here, unfortunately. Move 11 a day ago resubscribed for 109 months. 109 months. We've lived that long. Yeah, but the stream it's been struggling, so I appreciate your support, guys and girls. I need to double down my efforts here to continue to stream. But again, apologies for no tournament stream this week. So analysis today, I'll try to stream tomorrow with some blitz challenges, and then Sunday simul back to the normal schedule. All right, so let's start with Move 11's game. You do have to be a subscriber to the stream to submit a game. So, is my stream live? Yeah, okay. Unbelievable. I have like no bots anymore. Can somebody like set up some bot accounts? I think I lost all my like Twitch bots. All right. So this game we just got from Move 11, and I know I think a lot of people thought I just quit streaming because I didn't show up yesterday, but I had mentioned it on the Sunday simul that I wouldn't be doing a Wednesday stream. But usually people don't pay attention anyway. So the following game is from, correct me if I'm wrong, this is from this weekend at the Marshall Chess Club in Manhattan, Greenwich Village. I forget what street again. All right, so it's Matthew Tripodi Libya against Yu Allison Yu. Obviously, I'm gonna guess this is some kind of Star Junior play, another junior. We got another game. Yes, our director. Okay, could you please really review this game? Our director with the classic games always. Linares. All right. Thank you, our director, for being a subscriber. Are you a subscriber? You're still a subscriber. Good. We need all the subscribers we can get. I just accidentally did that. That was dumb. No, I don't want to send you back your message. Copy here. Okay, add a new chapter. So we'll start with Tripodi. No, Matt Tripodi against Allison Yu from the Marshall. All right, guys, thanks for being subscribers. We need subscribers. Always Prime 64. Be a subscriber. Then you can really be Prime. Okay, Matthew Tripodi versus Allison Yu from the Marshall Chess Club. E4, C5, knight F3, knight to C6, D4. No Rosalimo. C takes D, knight takes D, knight F6. And now knight C3, E6. And I know our viewer, Move 11, playing white here, is in the stream now. He's on the show with us. But you have put a lot of work into this opening lately, ironically. So it's kind of funny that you get this. You know, I mean, this is a great opening for you to get to face because you've been analyzing it a lot. And it's interesting that you chose to play the quiet line that I've been playing when I'm playing like Blitz and stuff. This A3. I feel like, you know, we had a debate about this lately. Like you said, a lot of authors all recommend knight DB5, allowing transpositions to the Sveshnikov. And it's widely regarded by many masters that knight takes knight, and the computer would agree that knight takes c6 is the best. But I think against a kid, a young player maybe who's mostly, you know, memorization based, I mean, I would think like this A3 is a good line. You know, you also sidestep, what else? You're also sidestepping bishop b4 with this move. And I had a game recently where my opponent played really well. I think they did bishop e7 on my stream. I don't remember. It was maybe the simul, one of my simuls. Black, I had a game where black, it seemed like equalized. Really, they played like an almost perfect game. We had some game that was like last week or the week before. I had a game where it turned out like we played some 17 moves of theory after a3 bishop e7, like that. And black had, my opponent played perfectly. Maybe it was an end game, and I don't remember if I won or I think it was a draw. But anyways, so that's probably like best, although d6 is okay. It looks like there's other moves. We did have a debate about what the best move is. I like space for rating with a party of one. There's always room for a party of one. We have enough tables in the back. You guys can just, you know, give everyone room because it's kind of crowded in here. Okay. Thanks for the raid. A3, bishop c5 she plays now. See, now this goes to show you, like, it goes to show you that people, especially kids who are memorizing lines, or just anybody who's memorizing lines, they study these variations, they memorize like forcing lines, but then they try to follow the same recipe when you play a different move. So she wants to play some active line with bishop c5, which is probably normal against, you know, bishop f4 or knight b5. But after a3, she tries to play it anyway. And you can see from the opening explorer that it's not an option. This is just not an option. And we'll see why. I mean, you know, at the bare minimum, you could always just like play knight b3 or bishop e3 or something. Bishop e3, queen b6 maybe. I'm not sure about that. But at the bare minimum, you could play knight b3, but it's passive and lame. So I'm just curious, you know, who plays this move for black? Dreyev played it in a game? That's surprising. And then some other guy and other guys you never heard of. So bishop c5 just like not played. Now after knight takes c6, again, it's not forced. You can see two people actually play knight b3 here. This old Belikov, who's actually a theoretician from, I don't know if he's still alive. Belikov was Belarusian, I believe, or maybe Ukrainian, I'm not sure, but he was well regarded theoretically. Knight b3, 1 game, 2 games. Bishop b3, 1 game. I was wondering if black could play queen b6 on that. And shit, they can. And they didn't. The one game where this happened from 2005, black didn't find queen b6. I mean, come on, man. It's a pretty obvious move. Queen b6. The question is knight a4. All right, anyway. So you play knight takes c6. Probably best. You can see here. Oh my gosh. Somebody played d takes. I'm sorry. No, a whole bunch of people played d takes. Including your opponent. All right. So basically, b takes e5, knight d5, and then you gain a tempo with knight e4. And you've got a3, which is a very useful move, taking away the b4 square from black's pieces. So even your opponent realizes, hey, this is bad. It looks like a couple people allowed that. Not Dreyev. These are the random 22s, 2300s. So after e5, white is seriously better because of 94. Okay, I guess, like, you know, you're threatening to clamp down with c4 as well. So anyways, there's also like, there's also queen g4 there, like knight e4, knight e4, bishop e7, queen g4, and then, you know, bishop h6 threats if castles. So it looks bad for black. So she takes back with the d pawn. So this is lame. It's a typical bad endgame for black. And again, it's like shocking that Alexei Dreyev would allow this against Giri. I don't know what the circumstances of that were. My former teammate, Binder Tamash, who plays like bullet chess over the board, did this too and lost in 1998, but he's like a clown in the openings and does all kinds of weird stuff. Hu Yifan has a game with white when she was young. But basically, you know, the only important game here is Giri Dreyev, which of course white won. Queen takes d8 check, king takes d8 check. And so, like, the thing is, how bad is this for black? Again, a3 is a very useful move for you here. We got a notification. Donation. Tunde Adeniran has subscribed on YouTube. We have close to 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. Close to 11,000 on Twitch. You guys are subscribers on Twitch. You can get a game analysis of your game. And guys, please, I'm going to the World Senior hopefully in October. So we're raising money for that. We're 20% of the way there. Donations you can make clicking the panda GIF on my Twitch panels. All right, king takes e5. Now black potentially could move the knight to different squares. She actually goes knight g4 here, which seems to be the most common. It attacks e5 as well as f2, so it's sort of more forcing than the other moves. But I mean, if she plays knight d5, you're going to play knight d4 anyway, avoiding exchanges. Knight d7 seems passive. It's funny, black did draw with knight d5 a game, but again, random games. All right, so is this the best move? I think maybe, because like she can fall back with knight h6, knight f5, especially if you have to play f4. You know, if Dreyev played it, it's probably black's best chance. All right, so knight e4, and now, wow. So Alexei, he tries to like push the envelope here with bishop d4, and this is played by another 2500. But okay, I mean, bishop d4. I mean, there could be tricks, there could be tactics. Some sort of h3, but I don't really see it. You know, h3. So bishop d4 is allowing this knight d6 check too, though. It's a scary move to play. I mean, in a blitz game, I would play bishop e7, I guess, which looks like safest, but black is terribly passive in any case. She plays the move I didn't consider, bishop b6. I mean, I would expect bishop e7 or bishop d4. Bishop b6, like, I guess is slightly surprising, but maybe there's nothing wrong with it, objectively. I mean, compared to the others, this seems a bit on the safer side. So let's see what happened in the Gary Dreyev game. Bishop d4, f4, and then there's 2 games. The other one, black drew with 93. I mean, this seems to be the point of bishop d4. You force f4 and then weaken the... by the way, I have a question. You see, your opponent, she played bishop b6, and the drawback of bishop b6 is you don't have to play f4, which is what you ended up doing. You played bishop f4, which doesn't weaken your e3 square, so her knight has nowhere good to go. Is there anything else like bishop g5 check? Did you consider playing bishop g5 check? If she plays king c7, you could just then play, bishop f4. I'm not sure if it's beneficial or not. But I want to see what happened. We got another message from Sun Prism. Okay. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Be subscribers. Be subscribers. Get PGN. All right. Listen, I want to see what happened and how Giri lost. I mean, how Giri won. Hold on a second. Before we go on with your game, I wanna see how Dreyev lost to Giri quickly. So here, bishop d4. Black already is in a dubious position, but if Dreyev played bishop d4, it's probably the best move. f4 from Giri. Now e3 is weak. This other game ended in a draw after knight e3. Bishop takes e3. White is clearly better, but those guys are 2500s, grandmasters, I assume. But Giri and Dreyev played f4, king e7, bishop d3, and then Dreyev plays this provocative-looking f5. E takes f6 check, knight takes f6, and now Giri avoids exchanging pieces with knight to g5. Dreyev plays another semi-risky looking move, e5, but he comes back with knight f3. Oof. This smells like a pawn sacrifice. e4, bishop takes e4, knight takes e4, and knight takes e4. Giri was a pawn up in ops-colored bishop and knight and rooks and went on to win the game. So, novelty bishop b6 from your young opponent. And then bishop f4, which looks good. Or maybe not. Well, she could play bishop c7. I don't know what that's about. That's what happened in the game, actually. So, move 11, any comments? Any comments or thoughts about this game? I mean, is bishop f4, do you feel like it was a good move? Or you should have just done f4 anyway? I mean, you clearly have a choice. It seems more solid to play bishop f4, but e5 is not entirely protected. So if you go here, your e5 is secure. It's similar to the Lomtorov game or whatever the other game was. I don't know. All right. Bishop f4 looks solid. She plays bishop c7. Now you castle queenside with check. Black plays Dreyev's king e7. And okay, so you even have bishop g5 check here, but the jury's out. The thing is, you have other moves too. You can play knight d6. No. Probably not because of f2. I'm just making sure you don't have any other options. This should be calculated before you chose to play bishop f4. By the way, if you end up drifting here because you didn't calculate the ramifications of this, I mean, obviously knight d6 is possible, but black What am I trying to say? Black is going to play knight f2. All right. I'll be all right when the smoke clears. Yeah. So, ultimately, you put yourself in a situation where maybe you didn't have any other options. We have to play bishop g5 check. Now she obviously has f6. And so you exchange off your weak so-called pawn on e5. He takes f6. She takes f6. But black feels like black is kind of broken free a little bit because you got rid of that. She got rid of that space, the spatial advantage pawn on e5. So all you really have now is attacking chances against her centralized king. Looks pretty good though, to be honest. Bishop h4, threatening to kick the knight and win f6. So she's basically forced to play this. Yeah, it looks like black is semi-paralyzed. Here you played h3, but why? Why h3? Why not, bishop e2? Bishop e2 develops a piece and clears. It could clear, connects your rooks and clears the way for a possible like rook e1. I mean, this would be my first thought. I guess you saw e5 or something. Maybe you saw e5 and you figured it's not a big deal. Something like that. Interesting. You may not be able to kick the knight so easily with bishop e2 after e5. So you played h3, and now she has a choice. But if she goes to h6, that is either way. I mean, one pawn square, the knight is very passive. You can play g4, keep it off of f5. Here, it's liable to get hit by f4, obviously, at some point. I mean, it looks like black's on the verge of being paralyzed, but she has knight g6. Right? Thanks for the one-man raid earlier from I Like Space. So you played bishop g3. I mean, again, this and this is really annoying. But the problem is after your move, what's our forward plan? It kind of feels like we don't have any threats after bishop g3. But true enough, she's going to play knight g6 no matter what. This is a kind of frustrating position. Tactics and swindles X. White's knight feels aimless. Well, it's aimless but good. It's aiming at f6, but unfortunately f6 is very well defended. This knight g6 thing is really annoying. White's better, but it's hard to do anything. Okay, so bishop g3. And now, okay, so you prevent knight g6, but you're not threatening anything, are you? Are you threatening f4? Maybe you threaten like bishop e2 followed by f4, but still I'm not sure that's an actual threat. So now she played a very logical move that has multiple purposes. b6. This defends c5. It allows black to move the bishop. And what else was I thinking about b6? Well, that's about it. But, she can try to get her pieces off the back rank. I mean, it's not forced. Black could play this sort of clunky bishop d7, but I guess she didn't like that. Not seriously sure. I guess, yeah. If she plays bishop d7, knight c5, she has to go back. So she plays this, right? Now bishop e2. And now she plays, for me, like a slightly surprising move, c5. White seems better, but we need some tricks or something. We need some f4. This f4, it just never seems to do anything. The other thing you could do is like pile up on the d file. c5 now, threatening bishop b7 with the diagonal here. You have f4, doesn't look like it's great. You have rook d2, rook d1. She's going to play bishop b7. You're going to have to defend your knight in e4, which might mean you have to play f3, which isn't great. And maybe you could break through on the 7th rank, though, in some kind of line like that. Here, f3. It's probably nothing for white. If f4, she goes to g6 or maybe even c6. This is surprisingly annoying. Like, there's nothing we can do. So you played this. Black plays bishop b7. Makes a lot of sense. And now bishop h5. Clearly not your only move. Bishop f1 is passive. Bishop b5 is more active, but she's just going to counter you with rook d8. If you go bishop e5, it doesn't seem to really do anything. Well, on the other hand, bishop h5 doesn't seem to really do anything. In fact, I'm not sure it's valuable. Another funny move would be like this, but it's like smoke and mirror, so you're not really threatening anything. Is there any possible threat connected with bishop h5? Guarding, you're guarding g6, so maybe you're actually threatening to play bishop h4. Should white trade one pair of bishops? Well, white might not mind. I would say there's situations where white doesn't mind trading a pair of bishops at some point, or a bishop for the knight. Maybe it pursues some kind of other advantage. But I'm looking more tactically, like concretely here. I mean, it feels like white is threatening bishop h4, but she makes a really weird move now, honestly. Rook c8. I mean, clearly it looks like black should play rook to d8, trading a set of rooks off. But I guess you're threatening knight takes f6. You're actually threatening... I mean, I don't know. Are you threatening knight takes f6? I mean, is that actually a threat? Knight f6, rook f6. I mean, if it's white's move, knight f6, rook f6, bishop e5, bishop e5, rook e5, rook takes f2. And you're hammering her e6 probably with all the pieces you've got. But I'm still not sure if it's enough. Actually, I mean, on her text move, this is a very, very strange move. I would expect this, like, almost for sure. This does apparently nothing. I don't understand rook c8, man. You had some idea of f4, f5. Okay, I thought our main idea was this. Or possibly bishop h4. Well, I don't know about f4, f5, but I think you might have something here. I mean, okay, so you can't play knight takes f6 right away because of taking with the king. It just refutes it. Probably. Check. I mean, there could be some craziness going on here, but she seems to be like walking away. So that doesn't work. You do obviously have bishop h4. It's not clear this threatens anything as well. Let's just say here, you got nothing better than takes, and then you got nothing. Nothing with like d7. It's an amazingly frustrating position. It feels like white should have something. So she should... I don't understand rook c8. It's a stupid move. Why doesn't she play rook d8? She fears tactics? Maybe she's right. Rook d8? But I mean, yeah, you have something here. Rook d8, rook d8. Knight takes f6. Rook d8, knight f6, king f6, bishop h4 check. King f5. G4 check. King f4. Looks safe, right? Bishop g3 check. And you're better. So let me verify this with the computer. Rook d8, king d8, rook d8, king d8. And now you don't have anything. Okay. So she should have played rook d8, obviously. Rook c8 is a very stupid move. So now I want to see. We have anything with knight f6. It doesn't work. So rook e3 is best. That's the computer move. You have knight c4 in your future. You've given up the c4 square, so you have to watch out for that, but it probably doesn't do anything. Although, well, no, I mean, it does look a little annoying. Bishop takes c7. I don't know. I would be hard-pressed to play that. So I kind of agree with how you played, although now f4 is sort of risky. This can backfire for you. I mean, the G file is a negative situation. I was expecting her to play knight g6. I mean, it doesn't really look like you have anything. Rook takes e5 instead of bishop h4. Say what? Bishop h5 if rook d8. Rook d8. King d8. Anyway, that's a different line. Let's just see what happened. f4, knight c6. So I still want to know, like, what happens here? I mean, you're threatening f5. Are you really threatening f5? I mean, f5 takes. It strengthens your f5. But let's just say, you do this. What's going on? I mean, bishop takes g3. Pawn takes g6. Bishop f4 check. Knight takes g3. Knight f4. I'm still not seeing anything here for you. Maybe her knight is stuck on f4, but it can be defended by e5. I'm not seeing anything for white, like at all. Knight g6. f5, bishop takes g3, knight takes c5, something like that. Bishop takes e1. Check. King e8. Pawn takes g6. Almost. The almost works variation. It almost works, but it doesn't. So knight c6, and you do f5. She plays bishop takes g3, knight takes g3, and obviously e5. Now, I'm afraid that, you've placed all of your pawns The Lord has placed all your pawns on white squares. But I guess you can trade her bishop off, bishop f3. The problem now is going to be that protected passer she has on e5. She had knight e5 neutralizing everything. What, like here? Mm-hmm. That's another possibility. Well, I'm not sure there was anything really to neutralize. I'm not sure, like, you deserve to be better. I'm not sure f4 is even a good move. It's not great, apparently. I was just curious about knight g6. I want to check this with the computer. So, yeah, it's fully playable. Like, knight g6 was fully playable. It looks counterintuitive to put the knight where it can be attacked by f5, but actually control of f4. She completely could have done that as well. I don't think you have anything here, you know? I think you're in a position where it's like you have an advantage somewhere between 0 and 1/20th of a pawn, something like that. And so you need to play in a way that you can maybe increase your advantage up to like 1/10 of a pawn, then to like 2/10 of a pawn very slowly somehow. You're going to have to play for almost nothing in this position. It feels like you tried to force things too much with f4. This is how we often lose. Trying to force things because we can't think of anything else to do. Yeah, so here, like the computer's rook e3, it's a tough move to find. What's the idea? Like, if this, we just go back to e2, probably. The exchange of these bishops is okay. And we have some threats of knight f5 check. A minor threat of knight f5 check, right? Bishop to h2 is not on. So some kind of very modest edge with the threat of knight there. Not easy for black to sidestep that. You're actually clearly better now. Yeah, so f4 is a mistake here, forcing too much. So you might have had 95. Plays this, you play this. Now that's a very good thing, because no more bad bishop crap. The dynamic now is this protected passer. And the question of your ability to maybe like play g4. Could you lever her center with like g4, h4, g5 in the oncoming middle game or end game or whatever this is, end game? She has better king. You can play c3 to keep her knight off of d4, which is very useful. So I'm expecting liquidation of rooks here, but she instead plays a very combative move, bishop a6. And I think that it's on the table to trade for her knight on c6 after bishop a6. I think this needs to be on the table. Because I have questions about, honestly, how much better her bishop really is than your knight in this position. I mean, maybe Camel Culture would agree with keeping the bishop, but all I can think about is breaking her pawn structure with like knight e4. So bishop takes, knight e4, with idea of g4. But you have other ideas too. I mean, you can try to double on the open file. Are you worse here? Peter thinks you're like nominally worse. So it's probably objectively incorrect to trade. You can play c3. I mean, c3 looks like a no-brainer. Keeping your knight off of d4. I guess neither side has a significant advantage. All the pieces on the board. What's up, Chess Zebra? I don't think that black c4 ever really a good move. It's gonna create problems for black. So c3 looks safest. So again, it's not clear if this is an actual threat for her to go knight d4. So you went bishop d5. I'm not really convinced about what this does. I guess it stops rook g8. That's good. It is centralized. It's a strong piece, centralized in the board. So now she plays another very surprising move, b5. I get this vibe that this player is, even though she's not really better, she's clearly like playing for a win. She's not trying to play safe, so to speak. Rook c8 was the first sign of that. I didn't understand it, but clearly she doesn't want to trade pieces. And now b5, a kind of like, are you going for some sort of pawn storm here in this endgame? I mean, I'm not saying b5 is a bad move necessarily, but it also doesn't really feel appropriate here. It is slightly weakening. But now things get really bizarre. I mean, I would be concerned about her getting in knight d4 and being able to get rid of it with c3. And then I thought like your knight wants to probably go to e4, but now she has knight d4 attacking f5. So knight e4, knight d4 attacking f5, you have to take time to play like g4. Maybe your bishop gets trapped. I have no idea. But this is a move I think it's very, very fantasy. It's a very fantasy move. Knight h5. It's a fantastic move, but it feels too fantastic. But I guess the advantage is that you don't interfere with your rook. You don't interfere with the other pieces. So your knight's on the side of the board. You can free up g4. Considering she's not really threatening anything on the queen side, it feels like I kind of like this move. Now knight d4. And pretty much we're looking for tactics. But I feel like, you need to play g4. And at this point, she might finally be able to do something with this queenside bullshit she's been doing. I mean, even then, like, say you play g4 and she goes like b4. It's not like you're going to take and open up, her chances to attack on the queen side. She does have this, though. But even there, like, look at this, c3. What does black do? What does black do now? Check. Check doesn't seem to do anything. Here, she has nowhere to go with her knight. It is maybe a little bit uncomfortable for you. I'm not sure. Another funny move there. Maybe king d2, but no. Okay, so this is a little bit unclear. So she played knight d4, you played bishop e6. Wow. But I mean, you're threatening one thing, right? But if she just moves her rook, I'm kind of confused as to what exactly we're doing. It doesn't really look like a plan. So say she plays a normal move here, like rook c7. What are you threatening? Exactly. To do c3? Hello, friends. So I mean, her order of moves here is an interesting question. She takes right away, but she doesn't have to. Knight g7. And knight g7 is really weird too. This is like bizarre. Bizarre situation. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on here. It looks like you got good control of the e6 square, but I don't know what you can do with it. Maybe move your bishop again. This is really weird. So she takes right away. You take back. Yeah, obviously, as she captures, you have knight g7. Although I don't know how good it is. Knight g7. And what is that? Knight f4 check, king f5. So knight g7. If king f7, rook check. I mean, I'm not sure you're better here. Knight check, king here, check, king g6. Are we better? You're winning. Wow. You have a mating attack. Wow. I wasn't sure if you're better. Apparently you have a mating attack here. You probably would have seen that. Okay, she goes to e7, and it's a draw after knight f. But she doesn't want to draw, clearly. So she plays rook c7. So this whole thing could have been done with like the other order of moves. Now knight g7. She's covered the g7 square. She clearly has the move rook g8. What a weird, twisted game this was. Someone's going to end up losing, but I don't know who deserves to lose. And now g4, losing the pawn. Oh, you can sack the pawn. You know, knight f5 check, king takes e6, and look for something here. You have g4 threatening mate in 1. No, you're not threatening mate in 1. I guess you're just like a pawn down now. Okay, so instead you play g4. And she plays bishop takes e6. So you're like, this is a total shit show. You're down a pawn now. You're lucky if you don't lose. I don't know. I mean, the game was very strange. Knight e6, king e6, and then the very hesitant rook d2. But you have to lift a rook. And now she wants to trade pieces, of course. Oh, this is terrible. So you're like, if you trade pieces, you're probably gonna lose. I think the rooking game is gonna be lost. You're down. Her king is great. You're down a clear pawn. So this is a very good move, like not trading rooks. I think very important. I mean, objectively, black is tremendous winning chances here. Clear pawn up with a better king. I mean, h5 maybe, like winning on the spot. Seriously, does h5? Well, it doesn't win on the spot. Okay, you just ignore it. You can't take because she'll have like crushing connected pass pawns. She should play h5 probably. The h5 you have to find a different move. I don't know what though. I don't know what to do after h5. Bro, this is a winning move. Like if this is Bobby Fischer. Yeah. Bobby Fischer, Spassky, endgame. h5 wins. She was winning. If she plays h5 now, I knew it. This is such a beautiful move. To create two connected passers, it's over. You cannot take on h5. But she doesn't. She plays rook g8. That looks like she's sort of like preparing it, kind of, but not really. You prevented it now with rook f5, which is disaster for her because rook g5 was prevented, h5 was prevented. She missed her chance. Now I expect black to play rook g6. I guess. Rook g6. g5 loses a rook. But instead she plays this very passive looking rook f7. That's weird. Rook f3. And now c4, another weird move. c4 weakening her queen side. She's playing over here with her rooks, and now she's playing c4. Why? What does that do? It just stops rook d3? But it's going to give you potential breaks with a4 and b3. This is not a good endgame player, I think. The last 3 moves have been bad from black. After missing a clear win with h5. Okay, it's a kid, and that's what kids do, especially today. They're like master strength in the opening, tactical beasts in the middle game, but end games they have no clue. They could be like 2200 and be like literally horrible at end games. I think you got a classic like end game kid. c4, and now you played rook e4, which I'm not in love with. I mean, honestly, Matt, like your rook is terrible on e4. It has no mobility. Why the heck would you put your rook on e4? You're just preemptively defending g4 in case of h5. Actually, I mean, let's go back to the last move while we're at it. So you played rook f5, she played rook f7. So ostensibly, what's going on here? You think she's like threatening rook g5 or something? I mean, you have rook e takes e5 check. I don't know why you played rook f5 and then took your rook off of f5. So I think you're making weird moves too. Why play rook f5 and then retreat it back to f3? Do something with your other rook or improve your king or something. You need to make some other constructive move here. I mean, maybe just like rook f1. The rook f1, I guess, is the problem. If you play rook f1, she plays rook g5, right? That's what she's hoping for. Okay. So we don't play rook f1. We keep this threat alive, thus preventing h5 and rook g5. You need to do something else. You know, even if it's just like king d2 or something. I don't like this move. It's not terrible. She has f5, no? So it's suboptimal. If f5 rook e3, she doesn't have it. Yeah. So you're preventing f5 with rook f3. It has a sort of purpose. You know, but wait a second. So she has h5 again? Oh no. You allowed h5 again. Shit. Exactly. Pichu, you hit the nail on the head. Just got here, and he immediately consulted his engine. No, I'm just kidding. Good instinct, yeah. It took me like 2 minutes to see it, but yeah, no. I mean, you played rook f5. You prevented h5. You prevented rook g5. Rook f3 is bad. You know, you're playing like her now. And she misses h5 again. This is a ridiculous move. What possible benefit does c4 have? Just giving you levers with like b3 and a4 if you need it later. Maybe even this king c3 looks good. King d2 looks good now. If a5, king c3, you know, and now you're actually threatening to undermine her queen side. I mean, yeah, rook f3 was really bad. You're lost again after h5. She misses it again. This is a terrible move. I mean, she can just play like king d5 at some point, but it's not a good move for your rook. And now she plays f5. You're kind of asking for it, but the good news is that f5 isn't as devastating as h5. Because h5 would be totally devastating. So now you're on the verge of lost, and taking would probably be lost. Her king is so strong. Her rook's busting through the g file. So you played like maybe the best move. I don't know, maybe rook e2, rook e1, I'm not sure. And now she's totally winning. Now it's over, right? F4, game over. I don't need to even see anymore. You know, that's game over. That's game over. It's two connected pass pawns coming down the middle, and it's just a matter of time till she hits you with h5. You're completely lost. Actually, you know what? You made a mistake again. You should take. You have to take. Um, you have to take. Can you take? Rook takes. Yeah, you have to. What else you can do? You take, rook takes, and go here. And yes, it's horrible, and you're probably lost. Maybe you do have an out. Something like b3. Looks terrible, but I wonder if you have any small chance of surviving here. You do. Shit. I'm an endgame genius. No, there was so many mistakes in this endgame. It was like mistake after mistake. Rook f5 I thought was okay. Black played rook f7, bad. Rook f3, bad. c4, bad. Rook e4, bad. f5, okay. And now rook e1, bad. And now she's just totally winning with f4. But instead she does the kind of materialistic thing. But it's not even materialistic, it's just stupid. She's not winning anything, she's just trading. She's trading pieces. f4 is just resigns. Yes, it's gonna take some time for her to win, but it's over. Bro, terrible. F takes g4, rook f7, king f7, h takes g4, and now you're still lost, but it's like a lesser margin of error, probably. King e6, right. Rook h1. I mean, maybe not. Maybe this isn't winning for black. You know, the thing is, the fact is that she's stuck with this pawn that's not very far outside. That's her passer. It's possible this is really a draw now. Despite you have no king position, her king is centralized. She's up a pawn, and it looks like maybe you're still okay. Your king could just stroll up here. This is unbelievable. Oh my god. This is like a masterclass in how not to play endgames, especially by black. Like, she wins the prize. Like, you didn't play well either, but her play is a catastrophe. I mean, to not play f4, I wouldn't talk to her for a week. King e3. Yeah, it's nothing now. This is a draw. This is a draw. Just doesn't do anything. Yeah, objectively, I'm not sure. I mean, there's probably many ways to draw this. I don't know if we really want to like weaken this square, say. What's the best move for you? You just go back and forth, harassing her pawns. Yeah. And now that. Well, that's kind of awkward. Check. Yeah. All right. So she's like 2100, but played the end game like a 1500. Wow. And now black's, oh my god. She traded rooks here? She had to. I mean, check out what happened now. So at this point, she's got to be like completely safe. You're going to have an outside pawn. Wow. All right, I mean, obviously rook d5 is bad. If she's going to lose a pawn, she'd rather lose her e-pawn, not the h-pawn. Giving you an outside pass pawn. Now you're the one with the outside pass pawn. So, what should black do here? Agree to a draw, first of all. Instead of agreeing to draw, she's like worse. Rook e6, rook d6, rook c5 check. And now what? No, even here, black surely isn't losing after king c6. This is still a draw. You have a4. You can try to squeeze her, maybe. Yeah, maybe that's not so pleasant. All right. True. Oh my god, is she like lost here? A4, C3, B4. What about B4 for black? Let's take a look at B4. Just hypothesizing. Say pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. C3. White is winning. So she finds this C3, B3, and now B4. Okay, so takes, king f5, king d4, king g6, king e3, king h6, king d2, g5, king takes c2, g6, king takes b3, g7, c2. No king takes b3, just king b2. It's a draw. So this is a miracle on 34th Street. What street is the Marshall Chess Club on? Wow, it's not a miracle. It's a loss. She's lost. Why is she lost? Because after b3, b4, you played a4. Oh my god. Shit, so you can just shoulder her. She's lost. I didn't realize it was lost. Takes, and I said king f5. That's a draw, but king e4 wins. Oh my god. So you threatened to go both ways. This is astonishing that black could go from winning to lost in a winning rooking game into a lost king pawning game. I mean, I don't believe it. B4 is a draw. What? B4, AB4, king B4. Oh no. So we looked at AB4. It's totally lost. King B4. Oh no. And if king D4, A4. So you can't take on B4. This is really hard to find. Although B4 is the most natural move. It's interesting. Her move loses, and B4 is a draw. Wow. I would have played B4 just on instinct, but I mean, she must have thought that it was lost, so she had to play this. And now B3, B4. If you trade, you're winning. You played A4. She plays king C6. You can't get the opposition. So you went into the race. Uh-huh. And there's no way to win. Interesting endgame. Well, I mean, I assumed that both sides were probably short of time. This actually quite an interesting endgame. Nothing to do. Okay, well, very instructive, but hope springs eternal. If you're playing a young, inexperienced player, despite their rating being as high as, say, like 2200, it's unbelievable the potential for people to make mistakes on a good day, even if they have time. But imagine here, if you're bad in end games and you have no time, which is probably the case here for your opponent. I mean, I would have probably made mistakes if I was low on time too. I couldn't calculate. B3 was, I mean, a B4 was clearly better than C3. But I think the important thing there, the takeaway, was this position where, like we all make assumptions about things. We always make assumptions about stuff. The assumption is that, like, if B4 and white takes, you take with a pawn. But no, we need outside pawn. It totally makes sense. We need outside pawn. That's logical. Yeah. So she had the right idea, but did the wrong move order. Okay, good game. I've got games from Iatan and Prime Sung. Anyone else with the game analysis? Show us your latest tournament game, Chess Zebra. The Hawaii Open 2026. Do they have Hawaii Open? National State Championship? Oh, we had 3 subscribers on YouTube, guys. In addition to Tunde earlier, there's Turo Kato 7-4 and Vanda Turok Vanda. Hungarians in the house. Wait, what? Can I send you a game? Mr. Rowlandson, certainly. You're a subscriber on Twitch. Subscribers on Twitch can send me games. And we'll analyze them now. I'm glad to be back, guys. Sorry there was no tournament yesterday. I had a date with my daughter to go to a concert. It was really good. I haven't been to a concert in years, so the last few I was supposed to go to got canceled. I've had bad luck, but this one wasn't. It was great. All right, Ivanchuk versus Karpov. This is from 1994. Is that right? Bro, no. Where's our info? Where's the info? Tags. Result. Somewhere it said the info. Maybe he said. There it is. He said, she said. Yeah, Karpov. Ivanchuk Karpov 1994. So we're going back 32 years. You last played it in 4 years ago. Is it one of those like Labor Day or Memorial Day type tournaments? Hawaii Open? It could be the Hawaiian champion. Okay, Ivanchuk Karpov 94. Karpov is part of the evil empire. We got to take Ivanchuk's side. Karpov lives in Mordor. All right, so d4, knight f6, c4, e6. Knight f3, b6, g3. And now bishop a6. Karpov's favorite. They should call this the Karpov variation. It's called Nimzovich variation. But Karpov and Leko, the big, massive, like, experts in this. First Karpov and then Leko a little bit later. Continuing to play this line with great results. It's pretty freaking solid for black, but for whatever reason, it's gone out of fashion to a significant degree. But maybe just the whole Queen's Indian is kind of out of fashion. I don't know what exactly the problem is. But, it used to be like one of the most popular, like, variations to see in the 90s. So white plays knight on bd2, and I think b3 has always been considered the main line. queen a4 is sideline, queen c2. But this actually, I think that it's considered one of the sharpest ways for white to play, because you don't play bishop g2. Later Leko would play like this. Leko had his like world championship match with Topalov in 2004, wasn't it? I think when I moved here, around 2004, Leko and Topalov. Well, Topalov Leko, there was a bunch of games in so 10 years after this. Leko was like Mr. Bishop A6, Queen's Indian a lot. The thing about knight on BD2, like you can kind of switch. Like Topalov had these games where he would like not fianchetto the bishop, but actually bring it out here. So Black's main moves are bishop b7 and bishop b4, both of which prevent e4. Karpov goes back with bishop b7. Now the knight is committed to like a lame square. You might say, well, didn't Black waste time with bishop a6? Well, yeah, he did, but this knight sucks, you know? It sucks. It like gets in the way of the bishop on c1. It only controls one central square. So I think that, okay, it looks like another Mordorian. Karyakin also played a lot of bishop a6. It suits his solid sort of style. Okay. Bishop g2, and now c5. And objectively c5 is the most active move, striking white's center. But clearly not forced. I mean, Black could play like d5, and the game would be a sort of Catalan, where Black's down a tempo, but the tempo is a sort of lame 92. Bishop e7, keeping his powder dry. That move seems to be very drawish. So white has e4 here. Hello. Piquet Ivanchuk Timon. 94, same year as this game was played. So Karpov wants no part in that. Karpov no like e4. Some kind of sacrifice. If bishop e7, e4, knight e4, knight e5. Oh no. Scary. Now bishop b4, and then it gets really crazy. Queen g4. So this is very sharp stuff. It goes all the way back to the 80s. So Karpov not interested in sharp stuff. But I have a question, right? Black now plays c5. Is this one of these d5 gambit type things? No. I mean, because sometimes we have d5. That move has a decent score. There was this guy on my stream that you guys remember, play like Kasparov or something, some like Malaysian, who played on my stream a lot, but he would always do this in like every line. In every possible moment, he would always play d5 against me. The problem for white is that this knight interferes with our control of d5. So if we do some kind of Pulugievsky like sacrifice, it's not like our knight is on c3 supporting d5. Our knight is on d2. So what do? Now after pawn takes pawn, we play like knight b1 or something? I mean, first you have to go here. And then what are you going to do? Like knight f1, knight e3, or like knight b1, knight c3? How do you resolve this? The people who have actually played knight b1. Jay Bonin against Ashley in 1994. It's a pawn sacrifice, cd5. And if Black tries to take that pawn, I guess it's too dangerous. So anyways, even here there are sacrificial tries with d5. Korchnoi Pulugievsky, 1992. Larry versus Pulugievsky, 93. So this was very topical at some point. Karpov must have been prepared here, but look. Walter Brown, Alexander Ivanov, 92. So why didn't Ivanchuk play this? Toth Bela played it against Bruno Parma in 1981. The Hungarian IM, who lived for years, he's still alive, I think. I've never met him. He lived for years in Italy, played his best years of chess living in Italy. Toth Bela. But you know what's funny about this? What's really weird about this? There's no Karpov games at all. Pugievsky twice, Salov, Alex Ivanov. Man, you'd think like this would be a good pick against Karpov. Instead, Ivanchuk plays e4. The other aggressive move. Maybe it's just a better move. You know, I don't know. So it's another way to sack a pawn. The thing is, like, black doesn't have to take the pawn. You know, knight takes e4 has a terrible score. Instead of taking the pawn, you just take on d4, and it's like a hedgehog. So I guess I would make the argument of like this, like this way. If you play this, like black has to take the sacrifice. I mean, what else is he gonna do? Like b5 or something? b5, b5, e4, b takes c. I just have a weird question. Like, would this be playable? It's probably a bad Blumenfeld. It's a bad Blumenfeld. Okay. So basically, you force black to have to accept playing like a sacrifice to defend in a sacrificial situation. But the problem with this is, with the e4, is black doesn't have to. They just take on d4, and now it's not a sacrifice. It's just a hedgehog. White can castle, play e5, or knight takes d4. So you can see the game's in there. Yepyshin Karpov, that's great. So Karpov had this against his own like second. Salov Karpov later. Salov Karpov already played this variation. So Ivanchuk choosing to play a variation Karpov has played numerous times, at least like twice before this game took place. Yeah, I think it was a bad choice. He should have played d5. All right, so e4, cd4. Now he castles. If e5, what does black do? Knight g8? Apparently knight e4 is best. Computer confirms this is best. Okay. So castles is most common, but Ivanchuk castles. Okay, no rush to take the pawn. And now we're going to get a hedgehog. We're going to get Karpov playing the black side of the hedgehog. Is that great for white? You know what I mean? I got to be honest, this seems like kind of a lame hedgehog. This looks like a lame hedgehog for white. Our knight is on d2. It sucks. It's a stupid hedgehog. We got to have something here. So d6. Why is this good for white? There's no games prior to this. Post Nibabula. This is possibly the first game where this was played. My impression is that white has nothing special. Karpov's certainly comfortable playing the hedgehog. And the computer can say white is better all day long, but okay. Well, I guess we'll play, like, white will play b3 and bishop b2. So there are tactical threats of e5, which is no secret to anybody. And if you look at the opening explorer, black has a terrible score with the natural move knight on bd7. a6 looks reasonable. Knight fd7 was even played in a couple games by GMs. It's just strangely passive. And like, what are you going to do with your other knight? Well, I guess it's going to c6. But say you put your other knight on c6 and then white avoids the exchange of knights, your knight just gets stuck there in the way of your bishop on b7. So Karpov seems to know this. He plays queen d7. But again, let's check the database. So this is the interesting part. This game was played in 1994. So this is like Karpov home analysis or over the board discovery, but probably best move. Very unusual move. For a hedgehog, the queen usually goes to c7. But he defends b7. He keeps his knight. His knight has the option to do like a Suba kind of thing and swing into c5. Sometimes it's better on the hedgehog not to play a6. So, like, what can Ivanchuk do? b3 is a standard move. Ivanchuk plays rook e1. There's people who play queen e2. But there's another move that's obviously not played in this game, but a4. So Jesse Cry approved. This idea of a4, a5, and it makes a6 look really shaky. You can break black structure with a5. That may well be white's best move, but it was unknown at that time. So Ivanchuk, I would expect b3. That has a terrible score. So he plays rook e1 instead. And there's practically no games where this has been played. By the way, you guys know that box set Grandmaster? Is that the same? The guy who sells those opening box sets are used to? Vladimir Smirnov? Isn't that the Australian Russian Grandmaster? Vladimir Smirnov against Molton Lai 2010. It's interesting that this position has never been played again. A lot more people played queen e2. Not exciting. Yeah, I would play b3. White has kind of a crappy score there. And so a4 is a secret move. All right, does Karpov ever face this? No. He would never face this again. Rook e1, kind of standard. I mean, is there an idea of knight f1? Not really. He's just supporting his e4 pawn, preventing d5. Black plays bishop b7. Now Ivanchuk, knight b1. And this is a classic, like my knight, that's the why the rook e1. This is a classic, my knight's on a bad square, I go back to b1 thing. Ivanchuk goes on to lose with white, but Smirnov finds a4 in delayed fashion. And another guy beat Abhijit Kunte in 98. I think I played the guy around 99 in Spain. A4 is still a strong move. So knight b1, knight c6 now. And one thing about the hedgehog, very important to understand, when you're playing with a space advantage like a hedgehog, you don't want the opponent to trade pieces, because even a single exchange of knights like erases almost all the white space advantage. So basically, Ivanchuk here does not want to trade knights, at least theoretically speaking. The question, does he have a good way to not trade knights? So my guess would be something like knight to c2. You know, I mean, is this plausible? Is this too slow? You know? It doesn't look like there's anything great that black can do. I mean, you can attack the c4 pawn, but what does that achieve? I mean, maybe 95, b3, then something like queen c7, and black goes back into a kind of standard hedgehog sort of setup with the knight dropping back to d7, I would think. So Ivanchuk just develops, and then Karpov's like, bam, I'm trading pieces, right? It's a hedgehog, I'm trading pieces, I'm equal. It's equal now. He's happy. Queen takes d4. Bam, I'm equalized. He no longer has his stupid knight on c6 blocking his bishop on b7. Very happy about that. And it looks like visually like, okay, Ivanchuk's better, but not really. That's the problem. One exchange of pieces and you have no advantage. And now Karpov, I mean, I don't know. Like Karpov probably still has to be on the lookout for this a4, a5. Because the queen's monitoring b6, you can't play a6. So I think this is still a strategic threat. Like a4, bishop a3 sometimes. Like Karpov doesn't want to robotically play like rook a c8 because I think this might even like be worse. Because a7 is not protected. So he's probably right not to play rook a somewhere. He could play rook fe8. He could play rook fc8. He could play rook d8 like he played. Not easy to say where to put the rook. Plays rook d8. And now white plays bishop b2. But again, I was thinking like this plan of a4 looks pretty good, man. Ivanchuk doesn't seem aware of the concept of playing a4. If black gets in like d5, I suppose it could backfire, would be some sort of pin here, but I don't really think black's going to get that in. I mean, let's see. No, it's not playable. So Ivanchuk misses a4. I think this is a very, very good idea. He plays routinely, bishop b2. The bishop can come back here. Now black rook b8. And now Ivanchuk makes another very Ivanchuk makes another very stereotype move on the white side of a hedgehog where it's hard to find a plan. Although a4 might be getting late because maybe Karpov's idea is a6 here. But I don't know if it works. a6, queen b6, bishop takes e4. Yeah, it seems to work, right? Queen a6, bishop g2, king g2, rook b3, and black is clearly better. It's too late for a4, so rook b8's about playing maybe a6. Ivanchuk still can't find a plan. He plays h3. And now I expected a6. But Karpov has to be careful because maybe... I mean, it is possible white could do like knight a4. I don't know if this is even a good move, though. Honestly. It looks like you're just forcing black to play b5, which is a useful move anyway. Is anybody out there? So this is Karpov, Ivanchuk Karpov. And it's from Linares 1994. By the way, this was like Karpov's greatest tournament, wasn't it? Wasn't this the one like Karpov won with like a massive score? Or am I confusing the year? No, seriously. Why not a6? Unclear. a6 looks playable. So anyway, who's here to question the Russian Duma? Black plays bishop a8. Yeah, and now I don't really like what Ivanchuk does here, but maybe what Ivanchuk, dude, who is this person like challenging me? Like that's just can't be a coincidence. All right, why are you challenging me now? So no, this is so lame. Like you're not attacking. This is like amateur hour. You've no serious threats on the king's side. This is very transparent. White's nowhere near a serious kingside attack, so I think this is young Ivanchuk being too optimistic. If I were Karpov, I would play bishop f8. Is there some problem with that? Maybe Karpov didn't like g5. He didn't like g5. The knight's off sides here. Something like queen e3. And so knight e8 is passive. The knight would like to come back to maybe like d7 instead. What you could do, well, no. Yeah, I mean, I guess the moral of the story is that Karpov felt he didn't have time, and he doesn't want his knight stuck on e8. So he decides here instead to play h6, which is, it's always risky to like make pawn moves in front of your own king that might potentially be like a lever for a pawn storm later. So this is a very carefully, I imagine, a very carefully calculated move. Karpov won this tournament, right? This is like his greatest result ever. He totally dominated. He had like a 2,900. Didn't he have like a 2,900 performance or something? So h6, slightly risky, but I mean it's pretty good dark square control around here. You know, I think I had this game where I lost to Johan Hjartarson 2 years ago in the World Senior Championship on the white side of a hedgehog. And it was the same sort of situation where I took my bishop, put it on b2, and then I regretted that the bishop wasn't on this diagonal because it's like missing, you know, like these squares. You got no control of those squares. It's not a coincidence that white's bishop's on b2 and black's playing h6. You know, this bishop is like, it kind of wants to go back here in a way to that diagonal. So now Ivanchuk's like, okay, a4. This I'm like, I'm gonna have to be a little skeptical of this. Feels late. It feels like Ivanchuk just is kind of flashing out and doesn't have any sort of plan. Is he threatening a5? Probably not. I mean, b3 is like not even defended by anything. So I don't think like a4 is even a threat. He could be proactively like preventing black from playing a6 and b5. You could say, well, okay, it's a reasonable move. Karpov needs to move his queen and get his knight to d7. Maybe bishop f8 now. But this is interesting. Karpov does not play bishop f8. I think a lot of people would stereotypically do this just to be careful or whatever. Watch what happens. He plays a6. And now a6 is about playing b5, maybe at some point in the future. But it's also about perhaps moving the queen to c7 without getting attacked by like knight b5. It's a standard hedgehog move. And now Ivanchuk plays bishop a3. You know, once again, it might not be insane to consider like bringing the bishop back to this diagonal. But I wouldn't do that here. I mean, I think like white's normal move is something like rook a d1 in this position. But again, he has no clear plan. It's very hard to play with a space advantage and no clear plan. And white is like weakening himself. g4, a4. Now he has a weakness at b3. If a knight swings into d7 and c5, it's awkward to protect b3. He plays bishop a3. Yeah, the one thing that stands out to me is like white doesn't have any sort of clear plan. g4, a4, bishop a3, like none of these things seem to have any connection to each other whatsoever. He's just like playing moves. And now Karpov makes a very surprising move. Just when you would expect queen c7, like freeing up this and putting the queen on the natural hedgehog square. Very weird. Like he goes queen c8. Why? What? Why c8? What is this mysterious move about? Why c8 and not c7? Does anybody have a clue? So Etan says queen e8 is the best move. Queen e8 is also possible, keeping the e7 bishop protected, but the queen looks very stupid on e8. On the positive side, it doesn't get in the way of any of the other pieces. And it certainly happens, you know, rarely in the Sicilian and hedgehog does the queen go to e8. I mean, you're opposite the rook on e1. That's not a good scene, you know, normally. That's a very unusual move. But I'm certainly expecting queen c7. Why c8? So I think it may be like, okay, let's say rook d1. If you play queen c8, rook d1, now you can't go here because the bishop will probably, you know, you've got to sacrifice a pawn now. This is probably what it's about. If I play queen c7, you get another attack on d6. When you try to maneuver knight d7, it's like chop, 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 knight c5, chop, chop, and b4. And suddenly black has a problem because he's down a pawn and he doesn't have enough compensation. So the funny thing about queen c8, even leaving this unprotected, you know, the queen is vulnerable there. So white never has like e5. White never has e5. You just take, you know, it's no problem. But the main point must be that if you try to play the sort of stereotypical rook a d1, maybe black can go here anyway. Because it's a question now as to whether white can actually take the pawn on d6. And if you can't take the pawn on d6, you're going to be in trouble because of knight c5. So you try to take this. What's going to happen now? Well, you have to calculate different stuff. But I mean, first of all, let's see. Take, knight c5, queen d8. So this is probably the thing. Attacking this. White would have to play e5. Then bishop takes g2, king g2. This is a shit show, or king. And then knight takes b3 at the very minimum. Right. So queen c8 is it's about being able to play knight d7 and the queen not being attacked when white plays bishop takes d6. So Ivanchuk just plays bishop b2. And here, I think that black is objectively much easier to play, but it's still, he's sort of stuck for what to do. So he plays queen c5. This is a really annoying move. You can't trade queens because, like, takes to the b pawn and you're dead here. So he has to move the queen d2. And now Karpov, the thing that, you know, a lot of people don't realize is that Karpov used to play the Sicilian all the time. He was very good in the Taimanov Paulson Sicilians, and I don't know why he ever stopped playing the Sicilian in the first place, because he was excellent in the 70s. He was excellent at the Sicilian. He basically gave up the Sicilian and played only like the Caro-Kann, the Petrov, the Roy Lopez. But it's unclear why he ever really stopped playing the Sicilian. I think he was quite good in the Sicilian. But you got him in a position that he understands. That's the thing. The hedgehog is Sicilian. So it's not like Karpov doesn't know how to play the black side of the Sicilian. He was very good on the black side of the Sicilian. And this type of hedgehog was typical for his Taimanovs, and Karpov's definitely comfortable here. Knight d7. That knight will head for c5 eventually, but you also have like stuff like that. Bishop f6. Rook ed1 now. You've got to ask yourself, well, why rook ed1? Well, Ivanchuk wants to keep this bishop a3 in the air. And in case black plays b5, you have like the rook on the a file. Now Karpov plays knight e5, an unexpected move, inducing, you know, maybe white to play for f4 in the future. I didn't expect knight e5, but I don't know what I expected exactly. Karpov now can't play bishop f6 because of queen takes d6, I guess. But even that might be unclear. If you were to play like bishop f6, queen takes c5, queen d6, rook d6, knight c5. I mean, there's a lot of loose stuff around here. I'm not sure this is off the table for black to even play bishop f6, maybe. But okay. He could also just retreat his queen back or something. But he goes knight e5. So what's this about? He's going to anchor f4. Bro, like knight g6, bishop g5, and f4. So Ivanchuk plays knight e2. He's worried about the f4 square. But now b5 could happen. Don't forget. At some point. Now, right away, it's not good. I probably take, and push the pawn. And white has a very strong outside pawn. And the rook is there. So it's not the time to play b5. Karpov plays bishop g5. White doesn't have any good squares for the queen. Although maybe, it's time to press the panic button and like offer a trade of queens. Just because we didn't agree to a trade of queens doesn't mean we absolutely can't trade queens. I think like if black trades, white's okay. It's probably a draw. But black won't trade on white's terms. Instead, he goes here. And this looks good. He has queen g3. It seems to be everything's under control. Karpov plays bishop f6. Threatening discoveries. And now, unbelievably, Ivanchuk leaves his queen on the diagonal. Well, he plays bishop a3. But I mean, the ongoing thing about this game is like just how much Ivanchuk seemed to have no plan. Queen c7, and now queen d2. And now the rook is still awkward. But I mean, if you try tactics like knight takes c4, it's not clear. Knight takes c4, b takes c4, bishop a1, rook a1, queen takes c4. You'd be giving up two very strong minor pieces for a rook and two pawns. Not great. So he goes here. Karpov's just hanging out, I mean, he might have d5 at some point. He might have b5 at some point. White has no threats. But wait. Right, he has no threats because a1's hanging. He has a threat, technically, of like bishop takes d6. Although I'm not even sure if that's good, even if he could play it. Even if he can't play it right away because of rook takes, queen takes, rook takes, bishop takes a1. So he moves his queen. He doesn't move his queen. Okay. So queen c2, I think I just accidentally put that in there. All right. Delete. He moves his rook. Also possible is rook a2. Maybe rook a2 makes sense. You might be able to consolidate with like rook c2. But anyways, rook c1 is very normal. And now Karpov plays bishop b7. I mean, I would think that Karpov would be willing, he would probably be willing to take a draw here with black. He's not like clearly better. But white's also not better. But white has more responsibility for making all these pawn moves. C4, A4, G4, E4. He plays queen E3. Both sides are like jockeying for position. And now Karpov provokes again with bishop G5. And that's like... we have to. Oh, no. So F4 takes an E5, right? Simple. Oh, no. So I told him he should have played rook A2. He just didn't listen. I had a feeling rook A2 was right. So what's the evaluation of rook A2? Black is very slightly better. That's why you don't trade pieces in the hedgehog. You wouldn't think it, but black is actually slightly better here. But still, this is a huge blunder. By the way, if bishop G5 right away, F4, knight F4, knight F4, E5. Why does Karpov not have this right away? White plays rook C1. I mean, I realize that there's some sort of bishop takes D6.
But does it work? So why does this not work?
Wow, knight f4, e5, knight d5, saves him. Ask a stupid question, get a stupid answer. Yeah. So after bishop e7, queen e3, bishop g5, f4, knight f4, knight f4, e5. And now bishop takes e3 is check. But I think it's a good, like, it shows you just how easily a 2700 can lose on the white side of the hedgehog when one has no plan. He fell into kind of a stupid trap, but he was struggling to find a plan the whole game. All right, good game. Thanks for sharing that from 1994 Linares. Next we've got Sung Prison versus 316. What's this from our tournament? Five plus two. No. This was played in June. 10 plus 2. Sorry, it was 10 plus 2. Yeah, maybe this was one of our tournaments. 10 plus 2. It's Ponda Arena. We did sometimes 10 plus 2s. Yeah, this is Rapid. Ponda Rapid Arena, I assume. Guys, don't forget to subscribe and support the stream by donating. Donate blood, organs. Also your, profit from selling your liver or whatever organ you choose to donate. Just click the Ponda icon on the Twitch panels and you can donate via Streamlabs. All right, so this is Sung Prison versus 316. Whoever, I don't know who 316 is. We have no idea. They have played in my tournaments, and they're a member of Ponda team. E4, E6. So, ironically, Sung Prison plays the French. It's always sometimes awkward, but also I think overly. It's more importantly, it's advantageous to play openings and when you play against an opening you play yourself, you tend to know more about it. So facing your own defense is a good thing. D4, D5. Now, Sung Prison plays knight c3, the classical. They refer to it here as Paulson variation. I did not know that necessarily. It was called that. It's arbitrary, but okay. And then bishop to b4, the Winawer. Winawer. And black offers a draw. So that's a new one. The Winawer is so good that black offers a draw. Bishop b4. And now white has a whole bunch of sub variations like a3, bishop d3, bishop d2, queen g4. Pretty much every conceivable move. Winawer exchange variation, e takes d, that's lame. Knight e2, I like knight e2, I played that. But main line is e5. And now, usually black plays c5, but they can also wait with knight e7. And they can also play other offbeat lines like b6, queen d7, etc. Black plays. Funny, some people have played bishop f8 here unprovoked. Okay. c5. And now you have different moves. Knight f3. a3 is the main line. Queen g4. And now black can play, of course, bishop a5. Sideline. Do I need to submit my game notation of the link to the game? You have to be a subscriber, Fried Chicken. You have to be a subscriber to the Twitch stream. Do you want to subscribe?
Bishop takes c3 check. Or bishop a5. Another line is c takes d4, but that's not considered to be a great variation. So it's really either, either bishop a5 or bishop takes c3. This is like the so-called like Armenian variation. Petrosian, Laputian. Who am I forgetting? Vaganyan. So many good players played the bishop a5 lines, but it's never been as popular or as trusted. Bishop takes c3 main line. B takes c. Now black usually plays 97. There are some sidelines. Queen a5 and Botvinnik's queen c7. Black plays 97. Okay, so it's main line Winavar. And then here, I think h4 is a modern take. Maybe we can ask move 11. But traditionally, the old moves were like knight f3, a4, Smyslov. Queen g4 is the main line. That's the most aggressive. Well, I mean, okay, h4 is a newer try. Grabbing space and getting the rook in the game. This is main line. And now black normally doesn't defend the pawn. But I'm actually surprised by the statistics here. I would not have gassled. I am having Freudian problems. I would not have guessed that castles was more popular than Queen c7. I always just assumed this was like the main line. And he passed away a few years ago, but a Hungarian grandmaster, Farago Ivan used to always play this line. He was like an expert in it for black. And I don't know if we got like ChessBase or some main database fired up. If there would be more moves, more games with castles, I'm a little surprised to see there's like 3K games with castles and 2.3K games with Queen c7. I always assumed it would be like flip-flop, like there would be more games with Queen c7, less games with castles. But Ivan always played this. He loved this line, and he was very difficult to beat. I never played e4 against him because of it. I always would do something else. He seemed too solid in this, and the knowledge is very deep. So, anyways, that's possibly the best line, though I'm not sure. Move 11. What do you think? Your opponent played the sharper, like Winnower Gambit or whatever. Poison pawn. Winnower poison pawn variation. Okay. Queen takes g7, rook g8. And now there's oh, the other move, right? There's another move for white that needs to be mentioned. Bishop d3. This I don't know where it stands theoretically. It looks like black's doing kind of okay there after c4. Not everybody's cup of tea. Not seeing a lot of modern games there. So I guess bishop d3 is like out of fashion. Whatever. Okay, queen takes g7. Like 20 years ago it was very popular. Rook g8, queen takes h7, and then I'll be honest, like I always like just want to like shake my head, and like these positions are just too complicated for me, man. I never wanted to have any part of this for like either side, it's just very imbalanced, very irrational, and very tricky and hard to evaluate. I think very that's the problem that this line. It's very hard to evaluate because it's so uneven and so imbalanced. Like, how do you know who's better? I mean, black is better on the queen side. Black will usually end up like castling queen side. White has this like crushing outside pass pawn that wins if black doesn't have any kind of like significant counterplay. Um, you could say like black's kind of like lost because of this like killer pass pawn, but between the opening and the end game, the gods have placed the middle game, as I think Tartakover said, or whoever. Maybe it wasn't Tartakover, but I don't know. Some famous chess player said that. The arbitrary middle game, opening, and end game. So knight e2, and now knight on bc6. I guess this is also possible. Knight on bc6. And here, yeah, so Sun Prism playing the white side of the French. Maybe you don't play the winnower, right? You played the Steinitz variation, or what is it called? With knight f6, the classical. Sorry, classical. Steinitz is like for white. Gary thinks it's just a trend, h4. We have our move 11 informant. So I'm questioning whether Sun Prism knows this for white, because he plays the French, but he plays the other variation with knight f6. So you could be like the world's leading expert on the classical, or the classical with knight f6, but you maybe don't know how to play the white side of the. But anyway, white normally defends e5 here with f4, and that's pretty much all I know. You know, that's the end of my knowledge, like playing f4. That's the end of my theoretical knowledge. That's it. But you didn't do that. Now, apparently there's h4 that's played from time to time here. But my assumption is that you blundered now with cd4, knight d4. cd4, knight d4, is this a thing? cd4, knight d4, knight d4, queen c3 check, king d1, queen takes a1, or queen takes d4 check. What do we do? Well, anyway, you're supposed to play f4. And if you don't like that, then I guess you can bring your queen back here. I mean, is this a real variation? Queen takes e5 check, knight e2. Pred Kigiri. This seems to be an alternative. Maybe that's like a safe way to play with white, where you like maybe trade queens or something. But anyway, this is main line. But now you played this. I'd never seen anyone do this. Just assumed it was a blunder. C takes d4. There's only one game. Is this an intentional move? Problem is, after knight takes d4, he's attacking like c2 twice. Are you going to play like king d1 or something? So I guess this is a Turkish player, the Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz played rook a2. I was expecting the Spassky like king d1, because e5 is going to be attacked with check or something. I guess it doesn't matter though. I mean, this is good. This is good too. It also gets out of the threat of queen c3 check. So you play Dr. Oz's move, and now black can cut your queen off from protecting c2 with knight f5. But Dr. Oz played knight df5. So what is black's supposed to play? No, he can't drop his rook. I'm sorry. Can't drop the rook. I'm sorry. I'm just losing my brain. All right. Interesting gambit. So what about the pawn? we try to grab the pawn. We start getting in trouble. One square only. What the heck is going on? I don't know. So we're on our own here. Rook a2. And your opponent played a very strange looking move, queen c4. But okay, he's attacking the rook. It makes some sense. Interesting. That makes some sense. Very materialistic kind of move, leaving black's development behind, although queen takes c5 is as well. Let me see what the computer thinks about this. Oh, actually not bishop f4. There's a better move. Pinning the knight with bishop b2. And white is clearly better. So that's why queen takes c5 is no good. What about... By the way, this is a strong player, Markoja. I don't know if they're Slovakian or Serbian. Some I should know, but I don't know. I recognize the name. Some Eastern European IM or GM. Knight f5. Black went on to win. The white queen is a little short of squares there. It has h5 available, and that's it. So I find this an interesting position. But I also don't trust queen c4. But then again, I don't trust how white's playing the whole game, so. Rook b2. Now knight e2. Bishop e2. Queen c3 check. And now king f1. King f1 definitely feels safer than king d1. But it's not to say that king d1 is impossible. It protects g2, you know, in favor of this move, I think. Now black makes what looks like a sensible decision to play a6 to stop bishop e5 check. But, okay, let's think about this like a little bit strategically, right? Let's just say black played b6 instead of a6. And you did this check. Yeah, black goes here. And my point is that do we really have anything? Or is white like just lost because his king is exposed? This doesn't look great. You know, bishop takes d7, king d7. Like white's gonna have to be careful not to be lost here. Bad structure, king exposed, black's king seems safer. So I'm not sure that a6 is really a good move for black. Maybe b6 is better. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are up a pawn. We could try, for example, like queen d3 or something. Then black can trade queens and be down a pawn. Or take this pawn. Probably takes this. Yeah, so anyway, I don't know about a6. He does play queen d3, and black does take the pawn. And now, I would think we're off to the races at some point with h4. There's also this. But white's most important asset here is the passed pawn. So, the other problem is with a6 that you can't move your bishop because you drop this vital... I don't think that black really wants to lose b7. And so ultimately a6 creates a weakness here. He can't move bishop d7. He has to play like b5. And b5 can always get broken by a4. It's not so easy to break the structure after b6. White plays bishop f3 now. I guess that's about protecting g2, but there is this awkward bishop here, bishop here. I mean, if you could trade queens, I feel like you have very good chances to win with the outside pawn. So, like, just give me a queen exchange, and I think that, you know, black is definitely worse. Because of this power of these pawns supported by the bishops. Maybe you could jockey for some kind of queen exchange. Bishop f3 seems kind of weird. And like you're just like attacking d5. I mean, what does that do? Are you trying to play c4? So black plays bishop d7. That's scary. And now you're gonna sack the exchange. Oh my gosh. But I'm skeptical. Bishop b5, rook b5, pawn b5, queen takes b5 check. So king f8, bishop h6 check. This does look bad for black. Knight c6. He has knight c6, queen c7. That loses too. Queen b7, I mean. So, you know, at the end of the day, it kind of looks like black got suckered into this. Bishop d7, g3. Now, it's not hard to see that you can sack your rook. Like, you have to sack your rook on b5. What's up, Don't Cry Wolf? Congratulations to Taylor Swift. No, but seriously, bishop d7. Yeah. So why would you play bishop b5 when, like, you can very easily see that it's like suicidal? Clearly the guy can play b5. And then this what can you do? I mean, a4, sure, but he could just ignore it. Whew, Dr. Chip Chance, welcome back. Yeah, this has got to be a blunder. So what's the evaluation here? Really close. Holy shit. Oh my god, the guy missed this. He can play queen takes b2. The computer just sees everything. Oh man. So that ruins all of our fun. After queen b2, bishop b2, bishop b5. You got this. It might let you save the game, but you're down the exchange. It is hard to stop that pawn. Wow. So I don't know. I don't really trust bishop f3. I think you have better things to do with their time than play bishop f3 here with white. As I said, this needs to be considered. At the minimum, like, offer a trade of queens. His queen is in a very dominant position. You could chase it around. What's he going to play? Okay, maybe queen g7, threatening g2. Then you could decide what to do. I mean, g3 is fine. You can use that threat of trading queens to maybe get him to back off, although I guess there could be some drawbacks here as well. But I don't know what's going on here after, say e5, h4. I still think I like white's practical chances. So this is maybe a mistake. And then after g3, he misses queen takes b2. Easy to do. But this is a very brutal sack. I think that he's, like, clearly worse. Check here. And so you can take. And now the problem is, like, which way does he recapture? With the queen or with the king? If he takes to the king, his knight is hanging. He doesn't want to end up 2 pawns down. If he loses a second pawn, he's going to be lost in almost all situations. So king takes g7, queen takes b7. 2 pawns up. Although they are weak. They are weak. So they're still hoping. Black has a queen and knight combo. Maybe it's not so bad. Okay, rook e8 is a horrible move to have to play. A brain is a terrible thing to waste. This is very suboptimal. Yep. Damn. Keep wondering if you have something, if black has another move somehow. Knight f5, sacking a rook is too slow. I think he has to play this, which costs black vital time. Now knight f5. So you're up 2 pawns, but your structure sucks. But you only need one of them, especially the a pawn. This is definitely not easy to win. Queen b4. Knight d4. And then a nasty move, rook e1, which was probably overlooked. Queen f6 is forced. Black does not want to trade pieces here. He played queen c3. And now black played a trick. Rook c8. Okay. That's a nice move. Is it enough? If you take the rook, and he takes an f3 check, and you go king g1, aren't you winning? Maybe the easiest win is just taking it. I mean, he does also have knight takes f3, but it doesn't look really convincing. So maybe after rook c8, you should just take that thing. I'm not seeing anything here for black. Check, king g1. What's up? Okay, yeah, maybe he has this. He has queen a3, threatening knight f3 check. Threatening, but it's still, I don't know. It doesn't look like enough. I mean, you should be winning here. He has queen c1 check, like rook e3, queen c1 check. I mean, yeah, you're down a whole exchange. Knight takes c2. Oof. That's awkward. That's not good. That is awkward. All right, so it's not so simple. Queen d3. And now if he trades into the endgame, take, check, rook e3, take, and white is probably winning after rook a1. You have 2 rolling with rook pawns. So he plays knight takes c2, and then rook c1. And we're going to need a discovered check, but we don't have it. So queen b2. At this point, black panicked. Black panicked and played the crazy rook a8. But he has moves. But most importantly, queen b2 attacking a rook. So the end of this game is very strange. It's very easy to find this move because it defends and attacks at the same time. White has no checks. There's nothing you can do. Your best move is queen d2 probably, which will pin him and keep him from taking your pawn momentarily. But you know, black has his passer, man. I guess bishop e4 is a threat after that. Okay, so it's not 100% clear. I guess rook c3. Threatening the very nasty rook takes f3. And 93 check. Goodness. This is a shit show. So sadly, Black lost. You should have taken on C8. Queen takes C8. Queen takes F. Queen takes F3 check. King G1. Queen takes A3. And now Rook D1. The engine says you're winning. Yeah, you're up the exchange and a pawn. Easy peasy. So Queen C8 was a huge mistake not taking on C8. Queen D3. Now he's okay. This is bizarre. Rook A8. And Queen B2 holds the game. He just gives you a piece. Okay. He was down on time. Okay. So, did somebody else send me a game? Yeah, 93 check, Dr. Tripp. Did somebody else send me a game? Because if not, if no one else sent in a game, someone was saying something about a game. I think Sir Rowlandson. Chess is hard, then you die. I was doing a Fischer game, but it's not essential if we have a game from one of the subscribers. It's up to you guys. Where'd everybody go? They've all gone to Betson's. We had like over 20 viewers. Now everyone got bored. I don't know why. Maybe they're watching football. Wait, football starts in an hour. France versus Morocco. Don't want to miss that. I'll have to like start another like 3-day subscription to Fox or something. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I already like scammed them out of one like free view. How am I gonna watch the game? You're conscripted and you're due in 2 weeks. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. Wow. Well, hopefully, you know, Donald Trump doesn't order a land invasion of Iran. It's very difficult to see that happening. I think it's just going to keep going back and forth with this, like, jockeying for deals for a long time, and then eventually, like, people get bored of it, and hopefully there's not going to be any, like, you know, military combat between Iran and, except for, like, the elite Revolutionary Guards. Hopefully, you know, it's better than being conscripted in the Russian army, Dr. Tripchance. Just don't go to Russia, okay? You know about that, like, all these different countries, like Peruvians getting, like, conscripted into the Russian army. They tell them they're going to be cooks, and they, like, go to Russia and, like, die. It's so sick, man. They're getting, like, people from all over the world to fight and die and be, like, cannon fodder in Ukraine. I think in Iran you're a lot safer. Hopefully enough people die. What does that mean? No, hopefully nobody dies, but I think you're safer. You're much safer than in Russia. That's the good news. The bad news is, like, nobody wants to be conscripted. I'm glad I'm old. All right, so, well, not really. I don't know if Iranians are getting in the Ukrainian war on Russia's behalf. That's very possible. But it would be a bad look. They're definitely North Koreans, right? They're from everywhere. India. Anybody who wants to go there can go and, like, give up their life for the motherland, for Mordor. Not me. Fuck Russia. Okay. So seriously, let's go back. We don't have any other games. I'm going to Fischer. We're going to Fischer. This is Fischer versus Harry. Robert Henry Steinmeier. This is from a U.S. championship in 1962. I didn't show you guys this game, did I? Last week I put in another Fischer game. I'm pretty sure I checked. I haven't shown you guys this game. So, Bobby Fischer U.S. Championship, 1962. But not one of those, like, 11-0 U.S. championships. He drew a bunch of people. Fischer won the U.S. Championship in 1962, but it wasn't a perfect score. He did that a couple times, right? So, Reshevsky, Banco. It was funny, like Banco somehow got Bisgeier was second. I remember. Bisgeier was second, and he like gave up his like the inner zonal spot to Banco, but it didn't make sense. Like the top two finishers in the U.S. Championship were supposed to go to the inner zonal, and Banco wasn't even like in the top half. I mean, he finished like 7th or 8th. How does he like get Bisgeier's spot? You know, that doesn't even make sense. That's stupid. How do you finish like 7th or 8th in your zonal, whatever, and get to go instead of Bisgeier? That's dumb. All right, but Fischer is playing black. It's knight f3. Grunfeld or King's Indian player, knight f6. White plays g3. You know, Banco famously played like what, g3 against Fischer, probably around the same time, and Bobby allowed like knight f6, bishop g2, g6, e4, transposing to a pierce. I like to do that to people all the time. Look at White's score here. Of course it's good. Fischer was stupid to allow that. But anyway, this is different. So it's a King's Indian attack. Knight f3, knight f6, g3, g6, bishop g2, and d5. Maybe move 11 can learn something from this. I think he's probably gone. So what does the Grunfeld player do, right? Well, I mean, you could play bishop g7, and if c4, d5, I guess, although, yeah, maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. I don't really like bishop g7, c4. Is d5, it's unclear to me how good this is. I guess it's fine. That'd be like a neo Grunfeld. Okay, you could do that as well. Fischer plays d5, and then White plays d4. So I have symmetrical Grunfeld, fianchetto. Bishop g7. Now usually White will castle and Black will castle, and then White will play either the very boring b3 or c4. So this guy who's like an NM or whatever, he was some, I don't know. You know, I never met him. I played Bisgeier. You know, I met Banco, but this is probably some older guy. He plays c4, and Fischer, I think, had played. He did play like the c6 type stuff. In other games, one game I saw he won against someone very strong. I think Geller. But in an unimpressive game, you know, these can be very dry. So anyway, it's more dynamic to take. You can also castle though. Castle is still like a neo Grunfeld. So d takes c4, and this is interesting. I thought I maybe showed you guys, but maybe not. I didn't show this on the stream. White's best move here is, I mean, I've played castles. Castles is fine, no? I mean, the standard line is knight a3. This is standard. This is like a main line. And then c3, and you feed back the pawn. I always thought this is like a hard structure to play with White, because it's weird. It's a weird structure, you know, and you're like knights on a3, and there's these holes on the light squares in the position. But the guy doesn't do that. He does queen a4 check. And I suppose c6 is fine. But Black plays this, which turns out to be the main line. Knight on f d7. So it's like a Russian variation. And here White's best move is only been played a couple of times, which I discovered, at least according to Stockfish. This is very commonly played, but the problem with that is if you play knight d2, Black plays a6, and you can't take with a knight because of b5. So anyway, you just have to take with the queen, kind of like a Catalan. But white can go knight a3, and this is only been played. There's this one game here from 1991. Well, there's a newer game, but it's important because it's Kamsky Elvest 1991, and they were very, very strong. Obviously, Gata was young and getting close to his peak, and Elvest was at his peak in like 1991. Well, maybe just about his peak. Elvest was a candidate for the World Championship. He's a very strong player, very respected. But the funny thing about knight a3 is that it's kind of like anti a6. White's, it's funny, there's this game, Sarana versus Timofeyev. Sarana would become a 2600, but after a6, black isn't really threatening b5 because of knight takes b5. So there's this move that's never been played. Which I found a little bit interesting. Like bishop f4, I think. Castles. This is just analysis. Queen takes c4, threatening c7. And now this is complex. But anyway, so there's this weird stuff. Knight a3 is like apparently the best move. Queen takes c4. No. He plays castles. Black plays knight c6. White takes on c4. Black plays knight b6. No. Fischer castles. Knight b6 is fine too. He castles. And now white to move. White to move. White has a strong pawn on d4. It's like a Catalan where black is counter fianchettoed. But what are we going to do about d4 with white when Fischer moves his knight, right? So white plays rook d1. Rook d1. Black plays knight b6. And this is first played. Check this out. The oldest game is Pribble, the Czech IM, from 1987. But there's also 1988. I thought I saw some other interesting game. Janza in 1996. Grabarczyk versus Janza 1996. Is Janza still alive, I think. But he's so old that he's not even playing in the World Senior anymore. Knight b6. I don't think I've seen him at the World Senior in the last 5 years. He seemed old like 25 years ago. It's really weird. Knight b6. And now white's best move. This looks dangerous. Queen c5. But it might be the best move. But if you're going to move the queen somewhere, I mean, wouldn't you move it to d3 to protect d4? So check it out. Black, this is like Fridman, Shipov. There's Nepomniachtchi game. Romanician. Black plays bishop f5, provoking white to play e4. Then bishop g4. And Fridman beat Shipov. No, Fridman lost. My bad. But he shouldn't have. He shouldn't have. So check this out. Black lost all 4 games in this position. But actually, white's okay. Bishop e3. And this is a Burkage game with black in 2005. Romanician 2001. And after this, white played e5 in both games. I mean, black played e5 in both games. And, e5, d5, knight d4. And now white misses the best move here in both games. It's very surprising to me, you know. I guess the players just weren't strong enough. It was like a 2300s. But you don't want to give up your dark square bishop. And why can't white find this move? It's like a very obvious move, knight d2. And white's better. It's simple. He's better. White's actually just better. It's like a Rossalimo. But neither player who was 2300 could find this move. Difficult to find, right? Knight d2 defending your knight on f3. It is not difficult to find. You don't want to give up your good bishop for the knight on d4 unless you absolutely have to. I was just really surprised. The 2 out of 2 players can't find the move knight on bd2. Fear of c6. Yeah, no, that's the best move. It's a question of c6 or c5. But it turns out that, like, in all cases, white is just a tiny bit better. And it's so funny because, like, black won all 4 games from this position. But I mean, ultimately, like, bishop f5 gives white a free move. It's not even the best move. It turns out the best move is e5, but it's probably kind of drawish because there'll be a lot of exchanges. Anyway, that didn't happen. The guy was afraid to put his queen on d3. He plays queen b3. And now there's just this one game between Kempinski and Waldemar Schmidt, who died recently, I think. He was a famous Polish grandmaster for years and years, like, was Polish #1 in, like, the 70s or whatever. One of them, one of the top Polish players. Adamski, too. But it's just funny, you know, that there's only one game, and this is Fischer, 1962. I don't think the Lichess database, like, has a complete accounting of all games between, like, 1950 and like 1980, say. There should be a much more complete accounting of games in that period. I think the database here is very lacking. But after queen b3, Fischer played bishop e6, the same move as Schmidt. And now Kempinski played queen a3. But our hero, Mr. Steinmeier, played queen c2. And now it's going to get really surprising because it's transposing to a few other games. But Fischer uses the same idea that Shipov used against queen d3. He plays bishop f5, inducing e4. And the guy was afraid to play e4, understandably. I mean, what are you hoping here that Bobby Fischer is going to take a draw by repeating moves after queen b3, bishop e6? Little Bobby. Uber Driver calls him Big Bobby, but he was medium-sized Bobby in 1962. Do you think he's going to take a draw? You got to bite the bullet and play e4. And then we have the same stuff, man. The tournament I played in, my first tournament in Eastern Europe, 1996 Vienna Open, Silvio Danilov, Topolov's notorious manager, against the psychologically unstable Lubomir Fatachnik with e4, bishop g4, d5, and now bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3, knight d4, and it's another Janza game. Maybe the same game, I don't know, queen d3. Anyway, it's still, like, about equal. But these people have to learn to play e4. They shouldn't be afraid. So everybody's, like, afraid to play e4. So this is a blunder. And now Fischer plays an awesome move. a5. And check this out. This game will be played. This game was played in 1962. This exact same position would happen with Vasily Smyslov playing white. Unbelievably, Smyslov, who was, I think, one of the best Grunfeld players, though he didn't play it that often, was a very good Grunfeld player, black, a hyper-modern style player to a degree. Smyslov got into this position with white. I don't know how he did that. Like, he actually once did some weird knight a3 So he ends up playing knight e3. This is like the best move, actually. The guy can't find it. After knight a3, a4, queen c3, black is probably better. This happened, and Smyslov was able to draw against Michael Steen. I think that black is slightly better. This was some tournament in the UK in '75, like the Tony Miles era. I don't ever met Michael Steen. I think he's probably still alive. He's one of those guys who quit chess. Maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe he passed away. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm like getting old. I'm talking about like who's dead and who's not dead. That's bad. A5. Okay, so white played knight a3 in 2 games. That's the best move. He plays knight c3, allowing a4. Plays queen a3, and then Fischer, paging Dr. Lasker, plays rook a5. This is brilliant, right? This is awesome. This is the way the Grunfeld should be played. a5, a4, rook a5. Fugarashi did this against me. Obviously, he knows this game. And now Dr. Steinmeier, and I'm just calling him Dr. Steinmeier, I'm just kidding. This guy Steinmeier, who drew a few games in this US Championship, he wasn't that bad. He was just a national master, I assume. He played knight b1, so his queen wouldn't get trapped. And Fischer here misses, he misses a really kind of tricky line, I think. This is not easy to see. So Fischer's best move apparently in this position is, it's counterintuitive, but it looks insane. Bishop takes d4. But the whole concept of this move is based on this bishop c5 idea. So you have the queen facing off with the rook on d1, but you're actually threatening bishop c5. You're threatening bishop takes f2 check. But the point is that on e3, you can play bishop c5. And I think Bobby like either miscalculated or didn't see it. You know, obviously it's also possible for white to play like knight takes d4. But after this, like black's extremely active and threatening knight e2 check. So anyways, Fischer doesn't do it. Instead, he plays a decent move, bishop c2, but this bishop is going to be like vulnerable to being attacked at some point later. White plays rook e1. Then Bobby grabs the pawn, knight takes d4. He likes pawns. Knight takes d4. And then here, another computer correction of Fischer's play. I mean, Fischer plays what looks like the most natural move, bishop takes d4. But it's actually better to play this. This is really brutal. Check this out, because queen takes d4, dropping your pawns on the 7th rank. And then here. And look at black's pieces. This is crazy, but... So maybe Fischer was like a tad more materialistic than Stockfish. But this is a cool position because, like, if you try to move your knight, you get squished by a3. Very, very bad. That's just brutal. This is so thematic, you know, the Grunfeld. So anyway, knight d4, he takes the wrong way and allows Steinmeier to kind of survive. Queen b4, attacking the rook, attacking the bishop, getting his queen out. Rook a8. And now, like, Fischer could also have played this, but I mean, I think like this is the kind of move that human beings want to stay clear of. Acerbate would have played rook f5 for sure, but it's like, okay, you put your rook on a square where it's vulnerable, bad things tend to happen. So Fischer goes back, e3, and now notice how this guy's trapped, bishop g7, and then knight a3. So completing his development, stopping like a3, attacking the bishop, bishop f5, and now white wins the pawn back with bishop takes b7. But this is interesting because I think, if I remember correctly, analyzing this with the engine, it's so human nature to like want to win your pawn back. But like once again, it was a mistake. Steinmeier should have played e4 and just focused on completing his development. Like it's more important to complete your development than grab pawns. So e4, bishop e6, something like bishop here. And I analyzed the crazy line. Queen d6, bishop c5, queen e5. And I think I'm trying to remember what I looked at here. Knight b5, I believe. Threatening c7, threatening this, threatening, yeah, different stuff. Something like that. And then knight d7, some crazy variation. Knight d7, bishop d4, c5, forking, bishop takes e5, pawn takes b4, bishop g7, king g7, knight c7, rook c8, and knight takes c6, check takes. And this was the best that white could get. Literally, analyzing with the computer with like 9 moves deep. The best white could get was this endgame where Fischer's threatening to get on the 7th rank. He's up a double pawn on the queen side. But maybe white somehow could try to hang on. And that's all he could do. But after bishop takes b7, it's like black is clearly better. After this greedy move, grabbing the pawn back. Rook b8, bishop g2, and then this. This is brilliant. This is brilliant, seriously. Bobby, like, not dogmatic, you know. He's up no pawn, right? He's up no material. And he's got to win against the bottom feeder in the US Championship. And he's okay with trading queens. He's like, let's trade queens. Because if you trade queens, you improve my pawns. I can take like this and have this like beautiful island. Or I can even take the other way. This is also not bad for black. Because it's like not easy to attack c7. You can't even develop your bishop without hanging your b2 pawn. This is death, man. It's like death by bishop on g7. Unbelievably good for black. So Steinmeier is not such a fish. He doesn't trade queens. Plays queen a5. Bobby goes here, keeping an eye on the a2 pawn. Now white plays e4, developing his bishop finally, or at least trying to. Threatening bishop f4. And now Bobby offers another exchange of queens with this move. And I think like Stockfish didn't like it. If I remember correctly, the computer probably wanted to play like knight d7. The black pieces are so active, that's the key. Like, maybe not knight d7 because of this though. Let me check with the computer. It is knight d7. It's hard to play that though as a human. You gonna give him your a pawn, your last queenside pawn? Queen takes a4, yeah. Bishop takes b2. Bishop takes b2. Would you think that black was +2 here? Is it that obvious that black is +2 here? Material is equal. And black is +2. I don't blame Fischer for not trusting this, you know? So, I don't blame him for not wanting to trade off his a-pawn. You know, he didn't want to let the guy liquidate. It's natural not to want to liquidate your pawns against a lower rated player. He didn't mind trading queens, but he didn't want to trade pawns. I think that's the point. And then weirdly, like, white's best chance to survive was actually trading queens here. But this is different. You're not... Steinmeier just dogmatically kept avoiding exchanges of queens, but you're not improving black structure in this. With this exchange, it's not like taking on d6. You know, white is worse, but he might be able to survive with like bishop f1, I think. Trying to like keep control of c4. White has chances to survive. I mean, these bishops are just brutal. You know, like constantly threatening to take one of your pawns. I've lost games like this with white in the Grunfeld. But the guy plays queen a6, trying to stubbornly like avoid exchanges. I guess it's a practical try. You can't blame him. And then Fischer just doubles down on active pieces. Active, 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 active. All of his pieces are like all over white. And then white tries, I think, a reasonable try. Rook b1. He can't play bishop f4 because you grab the pawn on b2 and the knight is bad. You probably lost immediately. So he plays rook b1 to defend b2 so he can play bishop f4. So he sacks his, like, he's offering to sack his a pawn to get bishop f4 in. And then Fischer's tricky and he plays rook a8 first. And I didn't look at, like, queen b7 now that I think about it. I mean, what is white supposed to play here? I didn't really look at the alternatives. I mean, could you consider playing like queen b5, queen b7? Because I just kind of automatically like assumed queen e2 was okay. The queen's almost like getting trapped on b7. It looks very dangerous. And Steinmeier has been avoiding these exchanges of queens, so this makes sense. Bishop takes a2, bishop f4. Now he's picking off c7, ostensibly. If you play queen c5, you just get hit by rook c1. So check this out. This is cool. Fischer plays queen d4. He defends his knight on b6. If his queen gets attacked, he can go to b4, where it continues to protect the knight on b6. White plays bishop takes c7. And this is, well, I guess, like, isn't this, like, maybe, like, white's last chance to survive here? You think white could survive here? He's down one isolated pawn on the queen side. I mean, knight b5 is possible. What's happening if knight b5? Knight b5, queen b4. Let's see what the engine says. Knight b5 isn't on the list. The best move is rook a1. I must have looked at this. Rook a1, bishop e3, bishop takes c7, rook d c8, and then e5. Is still, guy is still hanging on. This is really weird. Yeah, rook takes c7, bishop takes a8. I don't know that white should go into this. This looked kind of bad. You know, I think these two bishops look too strong. I wouldn't do that with white. I would not want to do that. Is there anything else I can do? Well, apparently there's nothing better. He has nothing better. So it's a tough position for white no matter what. But I think it's really beautiful the way that black won this game. Bishop takes c7, bishop takes b1. But now the key is, like, it's opposite color bishops. This is like Magnus. It's like a Magnus position. Rook takes d8. And the amateur is like, oh, well, everything's okay. You know, it's equal material. I have opposite color bishops. It's a draw. And it almost is, but it isn't. Because white has, like, these two weaknesses on the dark squares. But the crushing move here is so funny. Queen d2. Fischer offers a trade of queens, and it's over after queen d2. It's crushing. You can't save the a2 pawn. It doesn't matter if the queens are on the board or not. You don't need the queens to win. You just win the b2 pawn, and the a pawn, like, queens itself. It's so devastating. Queen takes d2, rook takes d2, and then the guy actually gets to trade off his weak b pawn, b3. It's so sad. Like, he was just on the verge of getting a draw, but not quite. Bishop d4. And this is like the Fed did. B takes a4, rook takes f2, threatening, you know, roundhouse kicks with rook f2, whatever. King h1, and then knight takes a4. And, like, after all that, the guy is like, maybe I can draw down a pawn against Bobby Fischer. but it's like totally lost. You know, even though it's like 4 against 3 on the same side. It's I think that maybe honestly, if this pawn were on f4, if the white pawns were connected, I'm not sure that would even that would be enough. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if like white's h2 pawn were on f4, something like that, he would have some chances to draw. But nah, better that he has the h pawn defend the base. So move the e pawn to f4, and I think like there might be some chance of survival. But Fischer actually has all these threats. Like he goes here, and then bishop b5. This is so strong, right? Dominating the knight on b5. And now white has to deal with this or this, and then in there, or possibly in b2 to c4. So black has 3 pieces that can attack on the dark squares, and white has 3 pieces that can attack on the light squares. But white has no attack on the light squares, and black has clearly an attack on these dark squares. It's just devastating. King g1 doesn't help, but there's no better move. Rook d2. Now he's just like vulnerable to being checked on g1 again. He goes back, and knight b2. And this is so brutal, right? Here, bishop d4. He's gonna like get mated. Knight a3, and then naturally h5. That's over. That's totally crushing. Add h5 into the mix. Totally done. There's no move for white here. Like, I thought his move was stupid at first. He plays bishop f1, like, to try to play knight c4, but this is move 42, ironically. So it's like the 40th move is time control. White is like probably has his flag hanging, you know, against Bobby Fischer and a pawn down endgame. Everyone's watching, you know, it's the US Championship. There is no move for white. There's literally no move. Like, this was the best move according to Stockfish. Bishop f1 is the best move. And then h4, and there's no defense. And so he played this move and resigned. Fischer's opponent. Played 41, knight c4. Well, he either resigned or he possibly, his flag was down. I don't know, but they recorded the game with knight c4 being the last move. I don't know if he lost on time. He could have lost on time. You know, if you like make your 40th move, but your flag's down, and then they look at the clock or something, and I don't know. But anyway, I just put in some extra moves. Like, it would be like knight takes c4, bishop takes c4, h takes g3, and then on h takes g3, bishop g3. But against a beginner, like, you would play this out for white, I guess. But I mean, it's so easy for black to win. You just play like e6, and there's no way white could do anything. It's just a matter of time till black would like improve his pieces and play e6 and f5 and like 2 connected pass pawns. White's pinned down on the first rank. Total disaster. You want to like have a nightmare? Imagine having to play this against Magnus or something. Wow, Gypsy999 with $20 tip. Thank you. Muchas gracias. $20 tip. Yeah, this was a great game. I appreciate it. World Senior Fund, October, going to Serbia. Thank you guys for following, for the donation from Gypsy. Very generous, sir. Been a kind of quiet 6 months. The stream's been kind of slow, so I appreciate it. And we'll be back tomorrow with Blitz challenges in the early afternoon around 1. And then Sunday Simul, as always, Sunday at 6:30 p.m. CST. I'm off to dinner, and we're going to watch the France-Morocco Football World Cup. I'll see you guys later. Have a great night. Thanks for watching. Thank you. Bye-bye. Go France.